What is rent control in Manitoba? Rent control is when the government controls how much rent can be increased each year. Each year, the province of Manitoba sets the annual increase rate. That is to say, they tell us how much we're allowed to increase the rent each year. There are several exceptions, of course. There are units that are exempt from rent control, and these guidelines change all the time, but at the time this video is recorded, units above 1510 of base rent, or those units that were built new within the past 20 years, are actually exempt from rent control. Why do you have to register the rent in Manitoba? So when a new tenant moves into a property, a notice to new tenant form must be filled out and sent into the branch. The notice to new tenant form contains the amount of the security deposit, the rental amount, and the names of the residents living in that unit. For multi-unit buildings, the more people that register the rents, the easier it will be to purchase a building and not have hidden traps where somebody buys a building, takes possession, only to find out that the residents haven't had a legal rent increase in years, and guess who has to pay back money to the resident? The brand new owner. There's a difference in rent control between 3 units and 4 units. According to the Residential Tenancies Act, with a building that has 3 units or less, so that's a triplex or less, the rent guideline resets each time a building is vacant. And when I say the rent guideline, I mean the rent that is registered at the branch and what you're allowed to charge each year. In contrast, with 4 units or more, so that's a fourplex all the way up to a large apartment block, that's what most people refer to when they're talking about traditional rent control. So basically a fourplex or more, you have the exact same rent control as a large apartment block. What forms are needed to register the rent at Residential Tenancies Branch? The first form is called a Notice to New Tenant form. Now this is when you have a brand new resident, a brand new tenant, they're first moving in. So the Notice of Increase in Rent form is to register the rent, but to specifically register a rental increase. You have to give a Notice of Rent increase at least 3 months prior to the ending date of that term, because you can only increase the rent once per year. What is an illegal rent increase and what are the ramifications? So let's talk about a typical situation. Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, do you mind if I increase the rent because I'm going to be giving you a brand new kitchen and bathroom? Of course, they're like, fine, no problem. Say you have a rent of $800 right now and you're increasing to $1,000. So they're agreeing to pay an extra $200. It was last registered in 1985. You are now charging $1,000. Well, 200 times 12 is $2,400. It's $2,400 that you're going to have to be paying back to that resident. But let's say that you did this for all 10 units. Now that's $24,000, and it's just one for 1 year, okay? So it can get out of control really quickly. Once you pay that money back to the Residential Tenancies Branch, they're going to try to forward it to the past residents. If they can't find them, they are going to be keeping that money. That's right, you heard me. They keep the money and it goes into their emergency fund. In addition, it's going to be very difficult to sell your building if there's an illegal rent or compliance file open on it. And even if you can sell it, now you've got landlords that know that there's a rent regulation issue and they're going to be lowballing and undercutting you on the purchase price.